Of course, the priority is to stem those losses. So how do you do it?
Good morning, Rich. So, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, the last few years, like for most of the chemical industry, has been pretty tough. And so first order of priority before we tackle on the big challenges of a carbon neutral economy, the first big challenge is to bring back the company to profitability. So in order to achieve that, I think we are looking across the company, we're looking at our portfolio, trying to push down a little bit expenses. But I think we're going to get also some help from the economy. And I think we are starting to see a pronounced rebound that is starting to take hold across the board, and certainly in industries that matter for us. And also, I think there is a geographic split into it, and certainly China, US, and frankly, any country that has COVID under control, I think is going to help us significantly over the next year.
Jean-Marc, I mean, you can have some easy fixes. You could sell off losing parts of the business. Of course, those things you can do. But, you know, you've got to make some tough decisions. And, you know, the track record of foreigners coming to lead Japanese companies has been one where it's been largely done because Japanese boards have avoided making those difficult and unpopular decisions. How do you actually deal with that? And is that something you worry about?
I mean, I'm going to start to answer the latter part of your question. I don't really worry about that. I think during the hiring process here, I think there was a very frank discussion about what needed to be done. I spent quite some time trying to understand the company and where it was. And I made a pitch as far as what I think needed to happen. And here I am. I got the job as the CEO of this really amazing company. And I think we'll go ahead and for sure it's not going to be easy every day. But we're starting certainly from a position of strength in terms of assets and the industries we cover.
Jean-Marc, obviously the pandemic has been incredibly upsetting and destabilizing for business too. Have you seen, though, any opportunities in the pharmaceutical business, particularly as our own Bloomberg Intelligence is saying that your integration of the pharmaceutical platform could saddle you with more debt?
Yeah, I mean, yes, it's true. Last year we decided to buy the rest of of Mitsubishi Tanabe Pharma that we didn't own. And yes, it was an expensive buy, but at the end of the day, I mean, I think we have a great faith into the pharma side of our business, and we are expecting later this year to start launching one of our COVID product to one of our subsidiaries called Medicago, that's in the final stage of phase 3 clinical. So yeah, there is some I hope some pretty good news coming up. At the end of the day, it's pharma, so until we're at the end of the phase 3 clinical, we will not know. But we are cautiously optimistic.
And are you cautiously optimistic about how you can capitalize on demand too for the strong demand we're seeing for electric vehicles?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it's we are well positioned there. I mean, whether it's light materials that we are selling into that sector, or whether it's anything that's needed for batteries, I think Mitsubishi Chemical Holdings is really well positioned, and we are already starting to see some more than uptick into that side of our business.
Jean-Marc, where else do you see, I guess, opportunity, and what are you looking at in terms of staffing levels? Have you been affected broadly by the pandemic on this front?
I mean, we've been not really. I think Mitsubishi Chemical Holdings, I mean, as a group, there is about 70,000 employees. I think has done a magnificent job in terms of making sure that that safety of our employees was number one. As we come out of it, I think that there will be opportunities, but I think I'm really looking a little bit longer term into what opportunities are out there for us. And I think it's going to be driven mostly by the shift to a carbon neutral economy. And I think that is the number one priority for me, is to make Mitsubishi Chemical Holdings one of the winners of the green economy.
We have a Bloomberg News story on your concerns here, and the fact that you basically walked into Mitsubishi Chemical and asked, where are the women? So where are they?
Yeah, that's I think it was a little bit broader than that. I mean, it's what I said is over the first 20 or 30 meetings that I held in Japan, meeting customers, meeting other companies, it took a long, long time before I met any woman executive. So I was there. I was in Japan about 10 years ago and living in Japan, and it doesn't seem that there has been a lot of changes. Having said that, if you look at Mitsubishi Chemical Holdings, I think we are leading the pack. And over the last few years, under the leadership of Kobayashi-san, our chairman, we have started from the top. And so we have now 2 women at the board of directors out of 6 outside directors. So it's a start. We need to do a lot more, and I think we need to lead by example. At the end of the day, it's the CEO job to make sure that we achieve as much as we can parity between male and female. When I left Japan 10 years ago, I mean, I made sure to promote one of the first female CEO in the chemical industry in Japan. So I think I have some track record there to really make the change happening in this environment. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's going to be us, the leaders, to make some push and to not accept the status quo.
Exactly. It is up to the leaders, and it sounds like you're doing a good job. And I was speaking more broadly in terms of women in manager positions in Japan. It does, though, come as well from the government. And we know that there are targets, which is one thing. But also, how do you change the culture? How do you change the likes of comments from Yoshihiro Mori that we just spoke about, saying women talk too much in meetings? How does that change? I mean, that's going to take some time.
Yeah, no, you're right, Juliet. What I see here in Japan is that when I talk to people, I mean, my generation or younger generation, I don't think that you will see that problem in the future. And I think we are starting to see that, over the next 5-10 years, you will see a change and a new guard coming up in terms of leadership of Japanese companies. And I'm very optimistic that you will see a significant change over the next several years. So we are all waiting for that change of guard, and then you will see that the culture will change too.
So what do you actually materially do, Jean-Marc? I mean, is it something top-down? Because you really have to deal with the grassroots as you promote women at all levels in the company.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And I think it is what I'm doing here, and what I've started to do, what I did in the past, is to involve myself directly into HR matters and into selection of executives and women representation at every level. This is one thing that I don't delegate. And frankly, if we have 2 good candidates of equal value, I'm leaning towards women until we have equality. And that's how, in my previous job in Japan, I mean, 10 years ago, when I left, we had nearly 50-50 in terms of women on the executive team. So there is it just happens if the CEO pushes and stays with it and doesn't accept no as an answer.
Jean-Marc, the irony is, you can, as a foreigner, Gaijin, you can probably get away with more than you would do as a Japanese man. So tell me a little bit about how then you make things evolve in terms not just, of course, of the company, but on a corporate board level as well, and an advisory board level too.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, it's. I think there are broad changes at play right now in terms of corporate governance across Japan. And I think it's moving more and more toward more of a Western view, where boards are less and less of a rubber stamping place, and more as a place where there is discussion, there is pushback, there is tough questions being asked. And I think that's the answer. And mostly moving away from having internal board of directors that are just copycat of executive teams. And I think in a few years, there will be certainly a lot more board of directors in Japan that will be mostly from directors from outside.
Jean-Marc, you are the first foreigner to be named head of a Nikkei 225 company since we saw the arrest of Carlos Ghosn. Does that hang over you, that concern, what we saw at Nissan?
No, not at all. I mean, it's like everybody else. I mean, I know about the story, but I think you have to make a choice. I mean, I've lived in Japan. I love Japan. I like living here. If I had any concern about the justice system, I would not come. So overall, I mean, it's I don't see any problem. Like every country, I mean, I used to be CEO in France and then in US. Every country has its ins and outs and positive and negative. I'm very optimistic about the fate of Japan and the evolution. Is it perfect? No. Are there challenges? Yes. And I think small step at a time, I hope to bring to help to solve some of these challenges.